Hey, there's still time to join the cycling men and women of leisure this cycling season.
There is. We've got two great events left for this cycling season. The first one's going to be on July 19th. We are doing the Rain Ride. And for those of you that aren't familiar with it, it is a one-day ride across the state of Indiana. 160 miles. Going to be a lot of fun. Certainly can join us there. You can check that out at rainride.org. And then our last ride of the season is going to be the Bourbon Country Burn. Yes, we're returning back to the Bourbon Country. That is September 26th through the 28th. And you can check that out at bourbon-country-burn.com. So check those out and come and join us.
The two events have two different styles of riding. The Rain Ride is 1 day, one way, 160 miles one way. But if you're looking for something sort of wagon wheel style, I've heard it called, you only have to set up camp once at the Bourbon Country Burn, and then each day that has different mileage routes depending on what you're looking for. They sometimes 30, 60, one day there is a century if that's what you want. Great times. We've been there multiple times. We heard it might be the last year. We don't know that for sure. Who knows? Someone might buy it. But just in case it was going to be the last year, the cycling men and women of leisure needed to be there.
Absolutely.
Well, it's time for Road Adventures with Cycling Men of Leisure, the podcast for cyclists who understand that riding is not just about getting to the destination, but the experience along the way. Now, here are the original Cycling Men of Leisure, Adam and Michael.
Welcome to Road Adventures of Cycling Men of Leisure. I am Adam, and today, once again, I am joined with my good friend, Mr. Michael Sharp. Hello, sir.
Greetings, Adam. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing good, but when did you start wearing a purse or whatever you're wearing?
This is not a purse. This is a satchel. No, I'm kidding. For those who can't see, there appears to be some kind of strap around the left side of my body here. Well, that would have to do with the fact that I decided to go out and do some training on the road.
You mean the fact that I'm going to have to change our texting thread between you and I and Joe to Cycling Man of Leisure, not
Nope.
Cycling Men of Leisure?
Well, you could de-emphasize the cycling for the moment. I'm still a man of leisure.
I've often thought maybe I should support a support group for those who had some bad luck in 2025.
Okay. Now that you brought up the topic, I'm going to spill the beans. Here's the deal. Juneteenth, government holiday. I had the day off. I said, you know what? I need to start really training hard because rain is coming. Not the kind that falls, but the long distance ride. So I went out. It was about mile 24. It's like, I'll get 25, 30 miles in it. It's not too bad. We're not going to push it. Come around the corner. Ahead of me, it was a curved street. And ahead of me on up about 100 yards is a truck. Okay, no problem. It's parked up there. Got plenty of time. There's some cars coming by. Not heavy traffic, but there's some construction going on. Okay, I'm looking ahead. I'm planning. Come around. As I'm coming around the corner, there's a guy working off to my right. Okay, that's great. He's spraying something. No problem. As I'm going, I'm probably only going about 12, 13 miles an hour because I'd stopped and I turned it to the thing. I went over a bump. No big deal. And then I'm going, and as I'm getting closer to the truck, it's like, okay, there's cars coming. Okay, perfect. I can go over. And as I'm about ready to go over, I look down, and on the concrete is a brown hose that's about the same color of the concrete. And at that point in time, I'm like 6 inches from it. I'm like, oh, crap. Nothing I can do because it's all happening so fast. Next thing I know, my front tire is 90 degrees to the rest of my bike, and I am sliding in the concrete. The good news is I was sliding on the concrete with my glasses. So that protected, this wonderfulness. So don't worry. Still look as good as I always did.
Oh, thank God.
Or not, my personal opinion. So I wound up face first into the concrete, was laying there, and this guy slowly walks up, and I'm laying there. I got winded. I can't really move. Guy walks up slowly and is like, "Oh, are you okay? Can I help you get you up?" And I was like, "I just need to lay here for a minute. Please don't let a car run me over because I'm in the middle of the road," just like the hose that I ran over was in the middle of the road. And sit there for a couple minutes, and then I managed to get myself up and go off to the side. And he's like, "Well, I'm going to be over here at this construction site if you need anything." And he just left. However, not before he took the hose that was in the middle of the street and moved it to the curb. And the reason why I was in the middle of the street, number one, he was working, and we went back and measured it and all. It was 55 yards at least of hose he had strung out along the road, in the road. And because of where his truck parked and because of the curve, it was a straight line of hose from his vehicle to basically right where he was working. So, of course, with the curve, it went right down the middle of the road. So I bid it, called my wife and was like, "I need you to come and get me. Had a little accident." She showed up. There was another guy there that came over who was far more helpful than the guy that caused the accident, who was mowing grass. He's like, "Dude, are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm okay. Do you need me to call an ambulance?" I was like, "No, my wife is coming to get me. She's in the health, medical profession. I'll be fine." This guy stayed with me for the whole time until my wife showed up. The other guy just moved the hose over and went off, which I was a little ticked about. And he's like, "Man, I was sitting there. I saw you go down, and I noticed right after you went down, he went over and moved that hose out of the way, didn't he?" And I was like, "Yeah, he was quick to do that, but that's about the only thing he was quick with." But and then another lady up the street brought me some ice. Needless to say, I had down the right-hand side, my knee, my elbow, my hand, my shoulder, got a lot of road rash. But when I got up from the pavement, I pretty much knew I'd broken my collarbone. So I fractured my clavicle. That's the polite medical way of saying that I broke my collarbone. Never broke a bone before in my entire body. In fact, this is the first time in the thousands of miles I've ridden a bicycle that I've ever put it into the concrete.
Yeah.
The upside. Let's start with the upside. How about that?
I'm listening.
The upside of this whole thing is, I don't know if you know this or not about me, Adam, but I have a tendency to be a little slow at putting my bicycle together after it's been on a trip. It tends to sit in the box for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, whiskey in a bottle. It ages. There's a reason for it, I think. I don't know. But I have a tendency to be lazy about it.
You know the best thing about recording a podcast with you?
What's that?
Is since I do all the editing, I could grab any clip I want. And you literally just said, and I quote, "I tend to be a little slow." That's it. I'm going to cut it out at that. And when you text me from now on, I'm going to put that on my phone. I tend to be a little slow.
You know why I paused? Because I thought there was going to be a smart aleck comment coming from you, and I was getting ready for my rebuttal.
No. See, I told everyone that you're always behind because you're in Central Time. And now you just literally quoted, I tend to be a little slow. Boom, cut, paste.
Cut. All right. Oh, man, you can't find good help nowadays.
So I'm assuming after being a Hanyak and being funny with you that your bike, your Italian stallion, your Bianchi from another mother was still packed away.
It is still in the box. Thank God for that, because I basically had pulled down, my old bike, my Le Mans, and decided to use it because the other one wasn't put together. I actually thought about putting it together. I didn't. And it's an aluminum bike. And I'm pretty sure that if I'd had the carbon one, I would have probably at least cracked the fork, if not more. But, it shredded my, handlebar tape, completely shredded on one side. It broke the covers on both of my shifters. The wheel, you can spin it. It'll go around 1.5 times before it immediately comes to a stop. So it needs some TLC. And I got a big gouge in the back. So fortunately, I had the old bicycle out. So that was the one positive thing about it, is that I didn't have my good sunglasses. I had my old, because I ride with reading sunglasses, and didn't have my good ones out either. So that helped.
The following segment has been brought to you by Eric Cycle, where you'll be taking the bike.
You're absolutely correct. Yeah. And see what else is potentially, because obviously I haven't got on the bike to try it to see what else might be. These are just, immediate things I could point out. Now, here's the downside. We're supposed to ride across Indiana in like 3 weeks.
Exactly 19 days, but who's counting?
Apparently someone is. But so the good news is I did go to a surgeon. He says, based upon what he saw the day after it happened, it was a clean fracture, whatever that means. Apparently it's good. I'm not going to need surgery unless something changes. I've been keeping it isolated. In fact, today, instead of my usual, good juice that I typically pour myself, I'm drinking a glass of milk. So,
is that fermented milk?
Nope, that is straight out of the refrigerator, ice cold. 2% milk, in hopes that somehow that's going to magically assist me, which it's not, but it's going to make me feel better about what I'm doing.
Did you ever see the Family Guy episode where he said, well, I've milked all the goats. And she says, those are all male goats. And well, they're happy now.
Oh, boy. So I've got another meeting with my surgeon this Thursday. And we're going to take some more x-rays and see what he says. So we'll see.
On behalf of Adam
and Michael,
we both want to say thank you
for your support.
So that kind of leaves things at a
dun, dun, dun.
At a standstill.
Yes, it does.
Well, we got some options.
There's always options. I mean, what are you looking at as options? Ditching me and riding with AI. That's an option. What's your other one?
I do pay for the premium version of ChatGPT for the show, so I could do that.
You just have AI put me in every single picture you take.
That's right. See, right now I'm keeping my lips closed, so I don't have proof. But we did email them, and we've not heard back yet. We did not ask for a refund because we are very aware. We can read top to bottom, left to right. It clearly states that there is no refunds. We're not asking for a refund. We did ask if we could advance our registration till next year, but we don't feel like we're going to get a reply. We're not sure, but we don't feel like we're going to get a reply.
Yeah, because this is not a ride like Ragbri or Bragg where they've got like full-time people. Or even part-time people checking these things. This is like more or less volunteer type stuff. So
we've talked about possibly, if no refund or no advancement, do we still make a trip out of it for the show? And then you drive SAG, and then we could still make some fun times. I mean, I ride it, and then, every 20 miles meet up with you. And I was picturing the Days of Thunder. I know we talked about it 2 shows ago, but how's the sagging going? Well, I've had some ice cream. So
I need a sag, not now, because I'm eating ice cream.
Come get me, We
Which
did
would suck, but there would be a flip side to that. Although I would dearly miss riding with you, and I don't know how you could ride without me. I mean, it would just I'm sure it would be very difficult. But we would have the.
Oh, am I supposed to answer that?
No,
I'm just
I was answering it for you.
No,
we would
I want to say something because I know we have a bunch of new listeners. As a matter of fact, we have 130 new listeners today.
Just today.
Yeah.
In a single dislike. Bam.
But
good day for podcasting.
Michael and I, please understand, this show is built off of the structure of humor. I would actually be pretty tore up to ride it without you. I mean, we've done Illinois together. We've done Michigan together. We've done Iowa 5 times and Georgia 4 times. And
Michigan a couple more times.
Yeah. I mean, so the idea was, and then rain has just been one of those ones where we've signed up for a couple of times, and then due to one thing or another, COVID or whatever, it's just been one on the bucket list. So when you called me, you said, "Hey, I've been meaning to call you." I wasn't sure what you were going to say. So even when I tell the story at work that we're not sure what to do, we're hoping they write us back. And so if anyone's never done Rain Ride, it's the Bloomington Cycle Club. I may have that wrong, but Cycling Club or Cycle Club, I'm not sure. I don't want to misspeak, but so what they did is it was like organized, and then they weren't going to run it, and then this Bloomington, Indiana Cycling Club picked it up, and so we're not sure if the email is going just to a generalized box or whatever, but we're not getting any kind of response. So it kind of leads us to believe that it is what it is. I mean,
it's the Bloomington Bicycle Club.
Thank you.
The official, yeah.
Bloomington Bicycle Club. So they took it over and they're going to run it. And then someone was able to set up transportation, so we were able to get a registered night at the YMCA, and then. So anyways, long story short, it's just been something that's been in our wheelhouse just to knock off another state of the map. One of these days we're going to do Rhode Island, but
it's a 2-day ride. 30 days one way, or 30 miles one way, 30 miles the next. You cross it twice
in one day. So yeah, there's I do tease you, and there's the thought about doing it, and then if there's no response, and then of course it's like, would love to not lose everything, and then we could still stop along the way. And with those microphones that we have there, that's how we were able to get a bunch of those pieces across the state from in Georgia recently. So we could definitely record if you're like, "Hey, how's it going out there?" Well, Michigan roads are better than this or this, whatever. So, but anyways,
yeah. It's all in humor. But we would also have the side of, we've never really talked about sagging as far as that job that, maybe it's professionally done, maybe it's a significant other, whatever. We would then have the perspective of a sag driver. What is this really all about? We see them, but if we're all like avid cyclers, most of us have never sagged for someone before. So it's an option.
We're looking into things. So,
and there's, we could always, if they would let us push it, we could still get together someplace and, find a interesting restaurant or two, interesting drink or two, hang out, do some podcasting, whatever. But we'll have to see. Big thing I think will be is find out what the surgeon says he feels based upon my, week and a half of looking at the x-rays and stuff, where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, we'll hope. Your health and safety is number one. That's obviously in your family. Obviously, that's the most important thing. We're going to have other adventures, so that's for sure. So, we still have the Bourbon Country Burn. You should be, we'll patch you up for that.
Oh, for that one, I'll bring a roll of duct tape and duct tape my shoulder together if I have to.
You're tuning into Remote Trails Radio. Garrick, you have 35 seconds to answer 4 questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What are the collection of back roads in Washington that you can discover called?
The Washington Backcountry Discovery Route.
On the trail, what's a helpful hand gesture to give the driver you see going the opposite direction?
Oh, you got to give them the shakas.
A number of fingers for number of cars behind you. What are skinny tires called?
Oh, man, I got some of them. They're pizza cutters.
Which podcast is packed with overlanding advice, P&W gems, and outdoor stories?
That would be the Remote Trails Radio.
But the last time you talked to the surgeon, just to be clear, he had advised you not to, right?
He said 5 to 6 weeks. At that point, it was 4, maybe slightly a day or two over 4. And I was like, so we'll see. You know, doctors will never say, oh, yeah, I think you can do. You know, they always tend to overestimate. I mean, I've watched the Tour de France when, you know, I mean, collarbones are pretty common injury with cyclists, especially in the professional world. And, you know, I mean, I've seen them go 75 miles or more with a broken collarbone. Now, granted, they're professionals and all this kind of stuff, but still, they just broke it. They got back on their bike and they kept riding. Would not be the case.
Right.
The other good thing I found out about this is I now have an excuse. And the other day, my daughter was up there. I was eating breakfast or something. And I said, the Tour de France starts just a few days. This is going to be awesome. I said, the sad thing about it is, Maya, that your dad is not going to make the cut this year. That doggone broken bone. And she looked at me, stopped exactly what she's doing, stared at me for like 2 seconds, dead stare, and was like, well, Dad, you weren't going to make it anyway. And I was like, well, at least I have an excuse.
That's not the point.
Yeah, she called me out. She's like, you're not going to make it anyway, and you're too old. And it's like, well, thank you for bringing some real life reality back to my life. I appreciate it.
We're going to make the best of it. I'm not sure what that means, but whatever that, whatever, we'll figure it out.
You know what? It'll be whatever it is, be another adventure. Whether we're there, we're not there, whatever. Another adventure of the cycling men of leisure.
Well, we'll see. We'll update you guys. You know, with that being said, it's always, like you always say, you know, for sure, it's not always about the destination, but the people you meet along the way. I mean, obviously, we still have our hotels lined up, and there'll be other cyclists, and we can spread the word of you know, our leisure community and try to grow our leisure community. So there's definitely still some opportunity to meet people, and normally you and I are not afraid to wear cycling men of leisure or cycling women of leisure outfits, and then people ask what it's all about. It gives us a chance to talk about, you know, our team. It's been really fun for me. I'm sharing stories about having 43 people in Georgia. Today in the Bragg and Rights, newsletter from Bragg. Thanks,
Franklin.
Yeah, thank you very much. He even says right in there that the largest team again, and so we're so proud of all of our friends and family and all across this great nation. So,
and Canada.
Is that the 51st state? No. Sorry. It was funny. We're going to get into this in a little bit, but you know, I just traveled somewhere, and when the guy was there, he was a keynote speaker, and he said, "I'm from Alberta," and that's not the 51st state. So,
who was it back in the late 1700s, early 1800s? Where was it? Henry Clay and some of his buddies, somebody back there that, you know, back around the War of 1812. You know, we're wanting to turn we're going to go invade Canada. We're going to turn it into our territory. And they were all big and sure of themselves. But, you know, I think we burned Montreal, if I remember correctly. And that's about it. Just about all we did. Of course, they came back a couple months later and burned Washington, D.C. and showed us. But, you know,
You
think they
mentioned something. You said it would give us a different aspect of sagging. Usually we're so trusting of the bikes being in good shape. We definitely have our bikes tuned up, ready to go. And then, we've been lucky enough to have organized rides that part of our entry fee is paying for those services. And we've not had to take advantage of that. So if you're out there and you're listening to this and you had an opinion for something that may be good to be in the SAG vehicle, such as a bike pump, a floor pump, such as, things that would help. If this is what we have to do, where I ride and you kind of take the road,
what do I need to bring? Because I could not. This doesn't have a professional SAG. You can't just stop and go, I can't make it or whatever. You got to, if I did wind up in SAG, I could SAG for everybody.
Well, let's make sure you take care of me.
Well, okay, I'll put you first.
But you're right.
But I could put the cycling men of leisure magnets on the side. Could have some water. I could be out there sagging for other folk too. So we'll see. You never know. Whatever happens will turn out okay.
Well, we'll have another adventure, something to talk about for sure on the show and share. We usually end up with some shenanigans, know where we are, so it doesn't matter.
Speaking of where we are we ready?
For listener spotlight.
Are you ready for this? I mean,
yeah, I'm ready.
I just kind of jumped in and guess I get a little excited here. Yeah, I got a good one.
I got a guess.
Whoa. I'm doing all sorts of crazy things here. Give me a second. Well, I just lost my screen, so.
Oh, man.
I know. Technical difficulties.
I told you guys it's hard to get
Hey, there
help.
we go. All right, listener spotlight. Let me give you the clues, and then we'll see if anybody had any guesses this week. The clues were as followed. Your cat would love this city.
Meow.
That's right. Number 2. History can be found all over the city. You can even get a bit of local culture at a well-known fast food restaurant. The city owes a great deal to a particular church. Just one of this city's fountains you could retire on in style with the help of one of the fountains of this city. And the city has a type of, or a distinct article of clothing that is associated with it. Easily associated with it. As soon as I would say this article of clothing, you'd be like, I know exactly what that is. And the final one is that this city has an association with this year's big brag. It's not St. Louis.
We didn't ride in St. Louis?
We have, but not on this ride.
Yeah. I do have a guess from a VIP listener.
Okay. Who's that? We've got many.
Well, this one happens to be Trip Barker, our team member.
Cool. Yep. Good old Trip.
He says, Hartwell, Georgia, for the water feature. And because it's associated with Big Brag 2025, Hartwell, Georgia.
Join me, Rails Eve, as I promote African tourism with my podcast, Keep Traveling Your African Vacation. I interview a diverse array of role players across the African tourism industry, giving you great insight into magnificent opportunities, hidden gems, and of course the wildlife. Learn firsthand from tourism artisans as to why you should spend your time and energy at their property. Every week, my show's guests offer great prize giveaways of free nights or complimentary activities that any lucky listener can win. Tune in now and keep traveling your African vacation.
Well, Trip, I appreciate the effort. And by the way, I know you got out of school and you're now looking for a job. So good luck on the job search, but you are not correct. Sorry.
You lose. Good day, sir.
But you're a cycling man of leisure, so technically you win.
You are a winner.
So it is a good day.
Good job,
Thank
everybody.
you. All right. You have any guesses?
The only thing that I was sort of thinking about is you mentioned the water feature, and we went through 2 areas with waterfalls.
We did, yes.
And
large waterfalls.
The first waterfall was not actually the city, but the second one was a city. And for that reason, I am guessing Toccoa.
Toccoa, huh?
Yeah.
You and Trip can sit on the bus together because you're both wrong.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this episode's listener spotlight is the city of Rome, Italy.
Oh, that is a stretch.
No, how is it a stretch?
Because you said this year's brag.
Has an association with this year's brag. Did we not
Where's
spend
that
time
challenge
in Rome?
flag? You still got that challenge flag?
No. Yeah, somewhere.
Throw it.
Why?
I'm just kidding. I get it.
I do have the challenge flag. I'm throwing it, but
Thank
I'm
you.
going to ignore it. We went through Rome, Georgia, did we not? Did we not see aqueduct type structures in Rome, Georgia that
We
they have
actually
put
did.
up there because it's their association with Rome?
We did. We
Yeah.
did, yeah.
I didn't say it was on the thing. Anyway, obviously Rome, very much connected with the Catholic Church in Vatican City. Cats actually have the right to free roam in Rome. Like that, what I did there? Yeah. Yeah, it's a law that cats can roam free in the city. One of the city's water features you could retire in style with. Just a single one of their city's water features earns up to 700,000 euros each year by people throwing coins into them. It is known as the City of Fountains with over 2,000 of them. So, the article of clothes. When you think of Rome, what do you think of? Article of clothes.
The hat? The beret or?
No, that's Paris in France.
Oh.
They do berets there. That's okay. He's from
thing
Michigan. I
edit the show.
apologize.
I want to take that out.
Think Animal House, the party, them yelling. It's time for a toga, 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 toga.
Gotcha.
Remember? The toga, very much associated with Rome, although the Romans, a little bit of sidebar here, Romans did not invent the toga. It's associated with them, but they did not invent them. It was actually invented by the Etruscans, which was a civilization that occupied the area of Rome before Rome was built and the Romans came along. So the Etruscans don't get the proper credit.
Was Rome built in a day?
Well, yeah, and all roads lead there. So finally, history can be found all over the city. There is McDonald's, believe it or not, did not come to Rome until the mid-'80s. And there is a McDonald's in the city that is actually built right next to Roman ruins. In fact, you can go inside the McDonald's, order your food, and sit down right next to an ancient Roman wall while you have your Big Mac. So
A Royale with cheese.
I'll take the Royale with cheese. Now, you think, though, if it's next to a Roman wall, Burger King should have got in there and, come be royal. But there you go. It's Rome.
That's my Pulp Fiction reference. The Royale with cheese. So, ladies and gentlemen from Rome, actually any city that's Rome, thank you for listening. But this particular case, Rome, Italy.
Yes, thank you to our Italian listeners.
Wow, nice. I love international listeners.
Well, roughly 12, 13%-ish of our listeners are from out of the United States. So
Love it. Love it.
We're getting far reaching here. All right.
So, I just traveled somewhere.
It wasn't to Rome.
It was not. But a lot of roads lead where I went.
A lot of roads don't.
I took a plane, but
Okay.
Did
Did you fly into the big international airport?
I did. The big international of Des Moines.
Des Moines. Now, is that really an international airport?
It is. Yeah.
Where do they fly that makes it international?
I don't know. But
or are they at Kansas City? That Kansas City International Airport. Well, once upon a time, it was an international airport. There is not a single flight that you can get internationally directly out of Kansas City.
I'm going to guess, because it says international airport, at one time, some flight went internationally.
Reykjavik, Iceland, I bet you. I bet you it was Iceland.
Let's take a look.
Check it out. I bet it was Iceland. But so you flew to Iowa without your bicycle.
I know. It felt really
was that
weird.
I mean, did you freak out mid-flight and go, oh, crud, I didn't put my bicycle on?
Here's the funny thing. I'm searching here for our listeners who I know. Ed is listening at 1.6 right now. Based on the provided search result, it appears there are no direct international flights departing from. However, you can fly to an international destination from Des Moines by taking a flight with at least one stop. So you're right.
It's not an international airport, but that's okay. We won't take away from Des Moines.
You can get to Singapore from Des Moines with 2 stops on Air Canada.
Well, I could get to anywhere probably from Des Moines with 2 stops. Well,
London with 2
maybe
stops.
3.
Anyways, I digress. I went to something called Transit Retreat. Being many times on this show, I have mentioned that I am in
sounds
transportation.
Like a vacation in Iowa.
Say what?
Sounds like a vacation in Iowa is what it sounds like.
Well, just hold on. Multiple times, you and I have been in Iowa with bicycles.
Yeah.
A few times we've been in Iowa with something related to bicycles, such as the Ragbri announcement party. We did not have bicycles with us, but we
it was
were
bicycle related.
Yeah, definitely
And
bicycle related.
We froze our fannies off both times we went.
So this is the first time that I've been to Iowa with something that was not related to cycling. I did keep telling my friends and family, this feels so weird to be going here without a bicycle. But, sir, you and I talk about many, many things leisure on Cycling Men of Leisure. And I flew with my golf clubs. And I played golf in Altoona, Iowa.
Which we have ridden through.
Mm-hmm. And so...
now, that wasn't the town we actually stayed on the golf course, was it?
No.
Okay. Now,
no,
that would have been
funny. I was looking for the lady who yelled at us.
That would have been funny. I golfed, a few years ago. I stayed right there.
You screamed at us about your horses, but that's okay.
Some reason she thought we were going to steal her horses. I've just spent 90 miles in the saddle of my bike. I'm not getting on your horse.
But yes, we... the point was not there to go golfing, but of course, you know me, Delta takes my clubs for free. So I flew and I met some friends and some other vendors and we played golf, and thankfully I played well. That's nothing like traveling with your clubs and then playing like complete beep. But luckily I played well. And we went to many Des Moines areas that you and I have been. And so I told people, even on the golf course, that many times when riding our bikes, I usually make a joke when we'd pass a golf course, and I would say, I wonder if my golf clubs miss me right now. And this time, I changed it. And I said, I wonder if my bicycle's thinking about me right now. So, really cool to be downtown Des Moines. A lot of stuff going on there. We stayed right by the Capitol. Our hotel was. We toured DART, which is the big transportation there in Des Moines.
Which we've used before.
Say what?
Which you and I have used before on a ride.
Yes, we used it at RAGBRAI 2023 when it was staying down at Waterworks Park, and then we took it to go have the zombie burger. A lot of good stuff. And I actually sent you some photographs.
You did. And I was like, oh, wow, flashbacks.
We went to Big Grove Brewery. If you have been to RAGBRAI and you've either had a Tailwind or a neighborhood beer, they are the official brewery beer of RAGBRAI. And multiple times we've had the big beer in the can with the RAGBRAI logo. This year they're doing neighborhood beer from Big Grove Brewery, which I had. Pretty good. They also have a 1939 amber, and I had many of those at Big Grove Brewery. So
now, this isn't stuff left over from 1939, is it?
I believe it's a recipe from 1939. Okay. I hope. Actually, it was really tasty. But the next night, we went to this place called Ricochet. So anyone from the Des Moines area probably was like, "Oh yeah, I've been to Ricochet." Ricochet is like it's like a Dave and Buster's that had skee ball and table
Video
tennis
games.
and darts and just big bar games, right? And part of this networking transit retreat is they provided meals and they had food trucks.
Oh, the food trucks of Iowa.
And so when they first said food trucks, I was like, okay, food trucks, whatever. And they told us how we got our food is you get a ticket, and then you take the ticket up there, and that's how they know that you're actually part of our organization or part of our group that we were over there with. And if anyone's ever been to a conference, you know that there's certain lines for people at the conference, attending the conference, et cetera, et cetera. So I come around the corner and I saw it said the big red truck.
Oh, yes.
And I was so excited because if you've ever ridden RAGBRAI, they're normally somewhere on the route at RAGBRAI, depending on what area they are and depending on the radius that they're going to travel. And they have a Euro sandwich that is just out of this world. Now, normally I eat it when it's 100 degrees outside, and I pedaled about 50 miles to get there. So I felt kind of spoiled by getting in line with my ticket without getting out my wallet, with standing in line, getting my cheese curds that went along with it.
Here's the question.
Yes, sir.
Did you have to sit on the ground?
No, I did not have to sit on the ground. I actually we were playing cricket on the dartboard, and so I got to sit in a bar seat with a beer in front of me in an air conditioned building. So it was definitely a different experience.
Upscale.
And of course, I had to tell the young lady working at the big red truck, I'm like, "Hey, I've seen you at RAGBRAI," and she's like, "Oh, you know what it is?" And I said, "Yes," and I said, "We've done it 5 times," and she said, "Oh my gosh, that's great." And of course, I don't think she cared at all, but I got out my phone and clicked on the map and showed her all my pictures, and so I showed her that I had a big red truck picture. So
I'm surprised they didn't go, "Welcome back, Mr. Baranski. Would you like your usual?" Because I think that one year it seems like, we probably didn't, but it seems like every day we ate at the big red truck and you had the same thing every single day.
I did. And then every day I'd say, I would come into town and I would say, "I'm going to get something different this time." And you're like, "Yeah." And then sometimes I would, but then sometimes the other trucks that were there, I would look at, and either the lines would be just ridiculously long, or
I can think of 3 times vividly in my mind where you're like, "I'm going to get something different." And it's like, okay, cool. I'm sitting there with my food, probably from the big red truck. And here you walk up with your hero sandwich from the big red truck. And I was like, I thought you were going to get something different. they just lured you in.
That's right. A lot of times, you and I, being in Boy Scouts, we would like to support the scouting, the scouting industry, tents and stuff. And there was a while there where we weren't seeing a lot of the Boy Scouts, selling burgers and stuff. But if we did, then you and I have a passion for supporting what we did when we were kids. So,
that's been the problem that a lot of people have voiced about RAGBRAI is that it's gotten so big that it's really pushed out a lot of the local community, fundraising type events. Because when I went there back in, I don't know, 04 or something, the first time I rode it, I remember you go to I don't remember any food trucks, and it probably wasn't back in 04. And there was the Boy Scouts, and there was the Methodist Church and the Catholic Church, and they were all selling different stuff. But they don't have a lot of that anymore, and that's unfortunate. And I think it's just got so big, and they need the food trucks, and they need to bring the food trucks in. I think they need to say, hey, yeah, you can be with us the whole week type thing. And, too bad.
I remember you and Ernie, when Joe and myself and you and Ernie had a conference call in 2015 about the 2016 RAGBRAI. I remember you and Ernie both saying, oh, what we'd like to do is support the local churches. They'll have spaghetti dinners and things. And there have been towns, don't get me wrong, in 5 years we did see, there were some Catholic churches and different churches that you and I went to, but a lot of times RAGBRAI was so large that our charter was nowhere near some of them churches, and then you could get on the shuttle bus and you went downtown because the shuttle bus was free or by gratuity or whatever, and then you'd come into town where all the food trucks were, the same trucks that were out on the road that day. And so but there wasn't sometimes a lot of the churches, but I remember you guys clearly saying that you like to support local when you were out there. So, but yeah, it was a really cool experience. I mean, I was there from Tuesday to Friday, and being on the ground and eating it. We went to a really neat bar. We never saw this on RAGBRAI, but the vendor I was with, his brother was from the area, and we went to a place called High Life, and it was a really neat, like, bowling nostalgia. I really thought about you because it had all these old signage from Miller High Life and all these older beers, and you could tell that these were not reproductions. These were original. Like, this owner of this High Life had really gone to extensive lengths to get all of these old nostalgia signs and traveled. Like moving circle things, like with Clydesdales going around, and
the globe with the Clydesdale and the wagon.
Yeah,
it's a classic. Yes.
And then they had like big High Life, like different Miller High Life. This show is not sponsored by Miller High Life. No, different High Life, different signs throughout the years of the High Life logo. A lot of bowling memorabilia. Just really. And the more that you sat and because we were talking for a long time, but the more you looked around the restaurant, there was like something new to see. Each booth had like a theme to it. It was really cool. So if you find yourself, in Des Moines, Iowa, and you're looking for like a really cool restaurant, High Life, it was really good. So,
well, I might be going through Des Moines in October, so maybe I'll look that up.
There you go.
But it's funny that you brought up stuff like that. You saw so many things, and these brought up memories of, like, as soon as you saw the big red truck, that immediately in my mind is pulling up several memories of like getting in hot and sweaty. We're sitting down in a park or on the side of a street and eating this. I went to Casey's 4 days ago, true story, with my daughter. Middle of the day, it's like I'd been working in my office. It's like, I just need a soda. And my daughter was home, and I said, hey, you want to go grab we call them road sodas. You want to go get a road soda? And it's like, yeah, sure. So we went to our local Casey's, and we were getting our soda. And as we were leaving the soda area, there's like one of those big, ice cream chests where they slide open and you can get ice cream bars and sandwiches and stuff. And she's like, do you need an ice cream sandwich, Dad? And I was like, oh, I don't think so. And I looked down and I saw a sticker. And it was one of those situations where immediately this image popped in my mind. and it was for Thelma's ice cream sandwiches. And as soon as I saw that sticker, I was like, they have like a food truck, an ice cream truck, every single day on Ragbri selling these ice cream sandwiches. And it was just so kind of cool because you just had that moment where it's like, you know what? I haven't thought about these ice cream sandwiches in 2 years. Haven't really been thinking much about Ragbri because I'm not going. If I was planning on it, wouldn't be because of this shoulder thing. But I saw that and it was just like, no way. I was like, what does it say on the back? And yep, made in Des Moines. So same company. So it's just one of those situations where you're just out and about and all of a sudden something just completely takes you back to that experience. And
Well,
it was
guess
really
what?
cool. What's that?
I have an ironic do moment.
Okay.
At one of my networking dinners, they brought out Thelma's ice cream sandwiches.
Stop. No way.
Yes. Yep. I
How
had the mint
weird.
chocolate
Now, how
chip.
weird is that? That's
Yeah.
just getting bizarre. Now we're
Yep.
living in bizarre world.
Yeah, I promised. We were sitting outside of the hotel. We were staying at the Savory, which is an historic building from 1919. And outside in the courtyard on Fifth Street, they had all these tables set up in a bar, and it was a nice evening. And there's a big "Welcome to Des Moines" painting, huge painting on the side of the wall. I bet you it's like 30, 40, 50 feet. It says Des Moines, and then each letter of the word Des Moines, there's like, inside one is like I don't know, like a butterfly, and one's a bicycle, and but yeah, and then they had waiters and waitresses walking around, and I said, "Oh, what is
They're
that?"
called-
and they're like,
they're
"Oh,
called
ice cream
servers,
sandwiches." I'm like, "Ice cream? Yeah." And then all of a sudden, I looked at the package and it said Thelma's, and it reminded me of the silver food truck, what looked like a silver water trough or whatever. I mean, ice cream sandwich. I clearly remember that. So yeah, it was definitely a nostalgia road of bringing me to my cycling world. But I have another one.
Oh, no.
Listen to this.
Okay.
You and I have been to a Ragbri announcement party, and we stayed in that Fairfield Hotel across
Twice.
from what was the Wells Fargo building where the Wolves or Timberwolves or whatever played hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what it's called now?
Timberwolves Stadium?
The Casey's Center.
No, like the convenience store?
Like the convenience store Casey's. So our stock
Well.
is paying off.
Is it? Or
I
did
hope
they just
so.
spend a bunch of money? Yeah, we'll see. But that's cool. I did not know that Casey's was now in the business of getting the naming rights. That's pretty cool.
But
Now-
I did hear something concerning when I was there.
Okay, and that is?
I'm being serious. I'm understanding that Casey's is now getting some competition from a convenience store. There was a whole dynamic and a whole conversation that I happened to overhear. And it was one of those things I definitely was eavesdropping listening to. Because from my understanding that there is a new convenience store coming into play called QS, Quick Stop. And those really in Des Moines, Iowa, there was a big convenience store. There's Quick Trip, Quick Stop, and Casey's. And the Quick Stops are trying to build or get near the Casey's. And so I wanted you to know that's...
I have never heard of there was a Quick Stop growing up in the small town that I grew up in. It was just like a local regional thing. It's not the same, but that's interesting. I've not... Because I know in Iowa, Come and Goes are big.
And did you know that the name Come and Go has been bought out by a company called Maverick?
Really?
And they're going to change they are changing the Come and Goes to Mavericks. Now, how well do you think that's going to go over in Iowa?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. It's business, I guess. I'm sure they've done lots of research on this, but I had not heard about the Quick Stop, so I'll have to keep an eye on them. I wonder if they're publicly traded.
I don't know, because we might want to get on that quick.
That's right. Let's hop on that train. But one thing you did send me that provoked another ride memory of you being in Iowa You sent me something to say that you were like in the vicinity or across the street from a very interesting pizza place that we've been to.
Oh, Fong's.
Fong's Pizza. This is I think our second year we went to the Ragbri announcement. We were just looking for restaurants. And we found Fong's Pizza. Well, number one, the name is enough to just make you want to go because it's like, what is up with this? An Asian pizza place? So we went. You walked in. I mean, you got to the outside of the building. It was in downtown. It kind of looked like a dive bar as you were walking in. When you walk in, it kind of looked like a Asian restaurant you would find in, say, downtown New York City.
Yeah.
It just had that felt very Asian. They had Asian decor, all this kind of stuff. So you go in, you sit down, they hand you a menu, and then they had all these weird like pizza choices that had like, I don't know, all sorts of crazy Asian stuff on them. And I remember at the time we were kind of looking at each other going, but I don't remember what I ordered, but I just remembered it was really good. And walking out of that, I was like, this place, it was just kind of a surreal type place. The food was good, but you'd made mention of that last week about Fong's, and that brought up that memory. I was like, oh yeah, I remember Fong's.
So where that came from is two things. First of all, we had crab ragoon pizza when we were there.
Man, you got a good memory.
So here's what happened. You know how you go to your respective brand's app for your hotel where you're staying at?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was staying at the Savory, which is a Bonvoy Marriott branded hotel. And inside the app, it says restaurants nearby. And so it literally said Fong's Pizza. And so that's where I took the screenshot from. I'm like, bro. And I had looked at that before I flew out there. And I'm like, hey, look at this. Remember this memory? And you said, yeah. And so I walked down there. And when I got there, it said Fong's had moved to its new location. And I did not go that far, but from my understanding, they had moved across the river to a new location, which, by the way, the river was right by my hotel. It's not that big of a deal. But it just because of the other networking things, I just didn't go there. But
well, that was cool. I when you sent that to me, I got a good laugh and hadn't thought about that in a couple of years. And it was like, that was probably the most interesting pizza place I've probably ever been to. But you're right. It was the crab rangoon pizza, which sounds maybe quite horrible, but actually was very delicious.
It was very good.
Well, that's cool. It's just weird that we had all of like this last week here. We had all these kind of memories taking us back to Ragbri. Now I get yours. You were right there in Des Moines and stuff, but the Thelma thing was just like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it's definitely. Of course, I think all the people that I was around probably got sick of me going, I've been to Ragbri 5 times.
Been to Ragbri, Adam. Okay, yeah.
And actually, the director of Department of Transportation was a keynote speaker from one of my days of my conference. And he said, I'm not sure if any of you have ever been to our beautiful state, but we have Ragbri coming up. And if you don't know what that is, and then my friend Jim looked at me and I'm like, I just told you about it, guys. So,
they're all pointing at you going, Adam knows about it.
Yeah. If you guys don't want the longest elevator ride in the world, but
that's right.
If you find yourself in Des Moines, I recommend a few things. I recommend the Savory Hotel, beautiful place. Had a nice speakeasy bar in the lobby. I know you would have liked that.
Can't go wrong.
Had a nice smoked Woodford Old Fashioned in there, and that was wonderful. May have had a couple. Anyways,
yeah.
And Ricochet was a fun place if you're looking for a place. So a lot of good times, a lot of good memories, and kind of funny that you and your daughter. Now we call road sodies something with a little octane. So you,
we are out here in the Midwest, my friend, and a road sodie is simply a soda you buy to go on the road. So
I'll be curious for those of you who are regular leisure listenership. What do you call road sody? Send me a message. I'm curious to see.
Yeah. Again, they're going to go, Michael's wrong on this one.
I mean, have you ever like gotten the idea that everyone keeps telling you you're wrong? That maybe
constantly like, no, that's not right, Michael. You know, and in the beginning, people were polite about it, going, oh, well, no, you're kind of a little off there, a little mistaken. Nowadays, it's just like, you're wrong, Michael.
Hashtag Michael's wrong.
Michael's wrong. Nope.
Yeah, when I was in Southern Illinois, we called road sodies a beer. I mean, that was like, you know, and then you hit the sign with the beer can.
Know, I have young kids. But
wonder why I went to military school.
These are things we don't need to ponder.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for Listener Spotlight.
All righty. Let's see what we got for this week. All right. This week's Listener Spotlight clues are as follows. This town began as a mill town. So, you know, like grist mills, wool production, things like that.
Okay.
The first immigrants who came to this community were predominantly German and Irish. And this town was originally named for a European city. Blues and jazz can trace some of its early commercial success to this town. The current town's name came into existence in the 1840s. Now, side note, have you noticed that no town, it seems like, has the name it started with? I'm starting to see this as a common trend that somebody came and said, we're naming this town this, and then, 20, 30 years later, someone came through and said, no, we're changing it.
That's because it opened to the public in the town square. They're like, this name sucks.
We're voting to change it right now, all four of us.
We need a vote.
Well, and back then, half the population couldn't vote anyway. So there's like one guy out of those four who could vote. It's like, we're naming it after me.
It's like on Brother We're Out There. This guy's going to pay you to sing into a can. How many are there? There's four of us.
Hey. This town sets on a historical trail. And when I say trail, if you can't see me, I'm using air quotes. Take that for what you will. And this town is located in a county that the United States Secret Service would probably want to avoid, or in the past should have avoided.
So, all kidding aside, for a little bit, I thought you were skating near St. Louis, but not the German. I know it's not German. 1840s maybe, but I think St. Louis is in St. Louis County, and so that doesn't jive. But just for a second, some of the clues that you were sort of navigating around made me think, is this the time that he tries to pull the wool over my eyes with St. Louis?
You never know. But there was Germans in St. Louis. Wasn't there? I mean, isn't that where Anheuser-Busch is?
Well, yeah, it's German now.
Well, I'm sure some people coming there were German. So, yeah. So it sits in a county that the U.S. Secret Service would or should have issue with at some point in history.
Well, on that beautiful note.
And I will tell you, I'll even give you an easier one. It is in the United States. Okay. I didn't go offshore for this one.
You mean like Rome and brag?
We even drove past those things, and it's like, look at this. They've even recreated what looked like
Where's my
Roman
button?
aqueducts. Right as you're coming in, big sign says, welcome to Rome. And on the other side are these arches that look like the Roman aqueducts. Come on.
And we did, actually, yeah.
Yeah, we did.
and then we'd go to town where Bragg had its base camp, and then we would go back to our hotel, and then we'd see there's the look. Hey, look, Clark. It's hey, look, kids.
Parliament, Big Ben.
I got to give you credit. I mean, normally we're GPS bound, but after a while there, I go, I think you turn. You're like, no, I go up here. So you were learning your Rome. So
Rome if you wanna.
According to Melanie, that's the B-52s.
Yes.
Or if she mistypes it, then I misread it like a dummy. But my fault, Melanie. My fault. But appreciate your continued support. Well, with that being said, this week is a holiday. If you're listening to this, you've probably already experienced July 4th. I hope that you have all of your fingers and vision and everything else if you had it before. Hopefully you celebrated this great country and with your families and you're safe. And if you want to hear something, if you want us to talk about something, please let us know. This is my chance to now thank Joe Grammer, Dennis, Scott, and Alex.
Thank you.
We really appreciate your continued support. If you want to hear your name on this show, just please become a monthly subscriber.
That's right.
So,
and
with that being said, you are traveling, right?
Somebody else we need to thank, isn't there?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh, my gosh. Where? Stephen Witz. Stephen, once again, knocked it. I apologize, Stephen. I was not. This is the problem when you don't follow your notes.
I was following mine.
Stephen, thank you, Michael. I really appreciate you reminding me. Stephen not only gave us a beautiful large donation. Thank you. He says, "Hi guys, love what you do. It seems fitting that the last episode started in Rome. Okay, Georgia should end in Rome. I remember the story of the 300,000 cats in Rome. Not only were the cats good rat catchers, but the Romans may have given cats deity status with their hodgepodge of stolen religions. The Vatican, Trevi Fountain, architecture, and togas were all excellent clues. Keep up the excellent work." So I owe Stephen an apology.
So we actually had somebody who guessed it. Stephen?
You know what?
Look at that. And you thought my clues were horrible. Stephen got it. Why didn't anybody else?
Stephen, I apologize. But he definitely got it. And on top of that, not only did he guess correctly, he put some money in our pocket.
And we always appreciate that. So, yeah. And to get back to what you were saying, when this comes out, I will be traveling. I will indeed. And going to Oklahoma for a couple of days, coming back. And then I am going to the great state of Kentucky. Ding, 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 ding. My wife thought it was fitting for my birthday, which is coming up next week, to take me to bourbon country. And I said, well, yes, you should. But it's also my daughter's birthday the day after mine. So
is she going to get some Buffalo Trace too?
That little girl knows more about whiskeys and bourbons than I do, probably. It'll serve her well in college. But no, on her birthday, I believe we are setting up. One thing that she wanted was a formal high tea.
Nice. So
we are going to have formal high tea there somewhere around Lexington or somewhere in the general area. So we're going to have a little bourbon, going to have a little tea, and who knows what else we're going to find along the way. So it'll be a good time.
Don't forget your app to figure out what Buffalo Trace or the probability of Buffalo Trace is selling that day. So,
oh yeah, that's got to be strategically thought out. So,
hey, hon, I'm thinking that we need to go buy Buffalo Trace today.
You know what? I get no arguments from her because you know what? I think 2 weeks ago I sent you a picture of what I was drinking.
Mm-hmm.
We had some family in town. I thought, you know what? They hadn't tried it. So we broke open a bottle of Blanton's so they could try it. And you know what? My wife is a huge fan. So no argument from her whatsoever. And she's really started getting into old fashions. So, life is getting good for me.
Here's my hint. If you both go together, get in line separately and pretend you don't know each other.
We could do that. We could do that.
Max going?
Yeah.
There's 3.
But he won't be of age.
Oh, man.
He'll miss it by like 2 months.
Oh.
Because you can get one bottle?
Yeah, and then it's per person, and then every 3 months. So. But
yeah,
you'll be back.
I will be. And then I can pick up what I didn't pick up a couple of months before.
And go to the ladies in the gift shop. Can you hold this behind the counter for me? I'll be back.
I'll be back. No, but we're gonna try to hit some places that I haven't hit.
Nice.
Up in like Louisville.
Nice.
That kind of thing. And we're gonna throw some cultural things in there. We've thought about maybe they got a nice, set in lazy river type thing. You sit in an inner tube all day on the river, that kind of thing. So
nice.
Yeah, should be fun. I'll send you pictures.
Well, that'd be great. And I knew it was your birthday, so I figured that you were about to turn 29. So
I know life is flying by. Wow, done so much in 28 and almost 29 years.
Hopefully, that surgeon says you can have something with a little more octane than milk.
Oh, I'm going to. I mean, the point is really the first week I took painkiller here and there. Now I haven't been taking any, so I could technically start going, but I'm not going to because I'm going to give my body every chance it can get until Kentucky. And then at that point, well, no holds barred. So
like the first day in college. Woohoo!
We're having a party. Yeah.
Well, we will update everybody with your medical condition and our plans. By the time the next show comes out, we'll tell you our plans because we don't know yet, to be honest.
What are the cycling men of leisure going to do next? We don't know. So it'll be fun for everybody.
But once we figure it out, maybe you'll know at the same time we do.
You never know.
With that being said, I'm sure somewhere, somehow, somebody had a great day for a bike ride.
It wasn't me, but definitely was for somebody.
Watch out for those hoses.
Thank you for coming along with Adam and Michael on Road Adventures with Cycling Men of Leisure. If you have enjoyed this, please subscribe to the show on the podcast app of your choice.
Hey, we just wanted to remind you that we've got some really cool products at our jersey and our swag store.
That's right. You can visit cyclingmenofleisure.com. At the top of the page, you'll find our stores page. Click there. There's 2 QR codes. The one on the left has a J on it. That's the store for the jerseys. The one on the right is just a swag store. Has all kinds of different items. Kind of customizable. You can kind of make the swag the way you want it. If the QR codes are giving you an issue, don't worry. Underneath, there's 2 buttons that you can click on. Thank you, and have a great day.